I welcome you to the EnergieGal Podcast. I want to introduce my good friend, Luke DeVita. Luke, thanks for coming on to the podcast.
Wow, I feel so honored to be here.
Oh, thanks. Well, as some of you may know, and as I was just sharing with Luke, that I had podcasted a couple of years ago for a while, and I loved it. But, life has its twists and turns, and there were other things that were going to happen, and I'm glad they did. And so now I'm ready to get back to it, and I asked Luke if he would help me not only set up all of the equipment, but be my first podcaster as I get back into it. And he said, oh, heck yeah. So I'm pretty darn jazzed that he's here.
Yeah, I'm very excited to be here.
Super.
Hi, everybody.
Thanks. I thought that you could unpack just a little bit about yourself to our friends here, our audience, so they get to know you a little bit.
Sure. I'm Luke. I am here in Fredonia, New York, because I am schooling here as a final year film student, and that's because I love film. I'm 22 years old. I'm from Long Island, and I love Lisa.
We have a very interesting first meet, just because I remember it so clearly that you walked into an office that I had at the time in the middle of the village, and almost immediately it was like my energies were like, oh, this energy intrigues me, and immediately I could just tell heart space for you. And I remember you asking me, so what is it that you do? And I replied, well, what is your story? What do you need? And we ended up talking for hours and connecting well. And that was, I think it was over a year ago.
Yeah. So it definitely was, because last year I was living in an apartment over on Main Street. And when I met you, I was living right down the road from where you were working. Mm-hmm. I was living in a fraternity house. And yeah, just one day I was coming back from a walk to the gas station, and I had been seeing your sign, EnergieGal, spiritual coaching, holistic wellness, and I was like, I'm going to go in there today. And yeah, I walked in, you welcomed me in with open arms, and 2 hours later, I was crying, opening up my life to you.
And we've had quite a journey ever since.
Yes, it's been amazing.
There are times that I'm crying, and he's helping me out too. So
very transformational.
Oh, very.
Relationship.
Yeah, it seems a very a relationship that was knitted in the stars or something.
Yeah, that's a beautiful way to put it.
Yeah, definitely. So, well, what I want to do is start off with a question that says this: what are you most excited about right now? I just love starting out that way. I heard another podcaster start off their interview that way, and I was like, that's such an upbeat thing to ask, so I'm going to do that.
All right, I'm on board with that. What am I most excited about right now? I'm excited to graduate. I'm so excited to graduate. I graduate
and that's
in
in a couple months, yeah.
Yeah, 3 months left, like 2.5 really. And then I get to work full-time for my production company and doing YouTube. So I'm really excited for that.
Wow. Your production company, which is?
Empress Visuals. It's currently taking a turn towards promoting people that are making changes in the world, positive impacts on the world, like yourself. Mm-hmm. There's actually an advertisement for your work.
I know, we're working on it.
So, coming soon.
Yeah. It's funny because the next question I was going to ask is, what are you most passionate about? And it seems like a good segue to ask that then.
I am most passionate about spreading my light. In various forms, but I think film is the medium that always kind of fit best with me. I'm passionate about a lot of things. Mm-hmm. But in a legacy sense, yeah, film is definitely just always something that I felt that I've had gifts bestowed upon me to be able to do things that ways that I see the world that others don't, and I feel like that can help that can help bring other people that aren't seen by the world into the spotlight. And usually those people are people deserving of it. So I'd love to be able to do that.
Wow, that really speaks to me, especially with the season in the next few years that I think that we are entering into. I think that you are going to be able to offer a great service to people who I think, like you said, are worthy and maybe smaller, but still worthy of being seen and heard.
Mm-hmm.
So I know all the time you spent with me just to do a little 1-minute ad and how detailed you were and so excited about creating something and had a vision for it that I know what I do. I don't know the vision I have. So it was pretty fascinating, and I can't wait to see what it is that you produce.
Yes, it's coming out pretty amazing. Yeah, usually the vision is best reflecting of the craft and of the person offering the service. So your personality, who you are, your soul, it's coming through. And so I'm very excited for that.
Well, I have to say that what was most interesting for me with the time that we spent together and the storyboard that you had created and then how we were working on things is that I felt more aware of who I am by the time we were done. There was something about your coaching and the way that you, well, now try this. Okay, but take it down to fewer words then. All right, if you could get it down to 20, 25 seconds or so. I mean, there was something so helpful and clarifying throughout our time. It was a pivotal for me to know, even something as simple as how do I open up when I'm starting a podcast? How do I open up when I'm starting any of my YouTubes? If I was in an elevator with someone and I had 20 seconds, how would I tell them about me and what I have to offer? And it's like that. So, you created a 1-minute ad for me at some point, but more so that you helped me with my own vision of being able to see what it is that I came into this incarnation to experience and offer. So
yeah, that's beautiful. I'm really happy that so much beauty came out of that experience. I think it's interesting that we all kind of are born with these seeds of purpose, and we grow our stalks and we grow all these branches off in different directions, doing all these different kinds of things. Sometimes we forget what the seed is. So coming back to our roots and really seeing why we're doing this, I feel like that can help us, grow our branches in the right direction.
Oh my God! Well, you're speaking my language because I love trees. Trees, seeds, gardens, that whole thing. So I really like what you're saying. Sometimes we forget our purpose. So the seeds are there in the ground, and sometimes we need somebody else to help us remember. Oh, wow.
I think about the bonsai tree, cultivating, people that take care of bonsai trees. I know I had a small one at one point. It was the first plant I ever got. It died, but I did do research on how to take care of it. And when the branches start to grow downwards, you're supposed to cut them to keep upward growth going on. So it's almost like the people that are, helping you become aware of your seeds are almost like the cultivator of the plant, or someone stopping by and just trimming a few branches, helping the plant grow in the right direction.
Yeah, that is really powerful. Wow. So yeah, the whole idea of needing each other and being in community with each other. Well, I know accountability is something that's really, really important to you, and that you have felt such an empowerment in your accountability group.
It's a group of me and 4 of my closest childhood friends, and we used to play video games all the time, and we have this Discord set up as a result of that. And then now we're all growing into men and growing up, and we were okay, we still have this connection. We're all kind of working on ourselves in these separate realms. And, I asked my friend if he wanted to be my accountability partner, one of the friends in that group, and he was like, yeah, that sounds awesome. And I had asked a few people before him, and it never worked out, and I didn't really know why. I thought it was a good idea, but then when it worked out with this one friend, Eddie, it just felt right. And he was like, we could get like everyone on board, and we got everyone on board in the group, and now the 5 of us meet every Tuesday and hold each other accountable. And there's so much beauty that's come from it. There's so many obstacles conquered, addictions, and it's also a great place to vent and like have that support wall. Like the list of things that we do is really it's a good rigid foundation, but it's also a catalyst to more deeper obstacles that we kind of have in our lives, and bringing us together and really thinking about like, why aren't we accomplishing the things we do, and then going through those barriers, deepening our connections as well. It's one of the things I'm most grateful for at this time in my life.
Wow, you say it and smile like crazy. Yeah, there's something about having someone lovingly, but passionately holding you accountable in that I this is what you want me to do, so let me do this for you, with you. Celebrate your victories, but also keep you to, well, you said you were going to do this and you didn't. And you would want me to tell you, that's not cool. What can we do to make that happen?
Yeah.
And a vulnerability in that too.
Absolutely. I think one of the toughest parts, not toughest parts, but definitely one of the things that was kind of shined light upon throughout the process was that balance between positive encouragement and tough love. And it really is a balance, because you can positively encourage someone, like they can mess up and be like, you'll get it next time, like you got this, like believe in them, help them believe in themselves, and that's super important. But there also needs to be that level of, you said you were going to do this, so why didn't you do it? Like you can't slip up like this anymore. And you can always go too much in one direction and be, too much negative, reinforcement can be detrimental or affecting mental health and self-image, whereas too much positive can basically lead you towards contentness and laziness. And so, finding that balance.
And ultimately a dissatisfaction, because, you yourself are the one saying, guys, hold me this, or, peeps, hold me, this is what I want to have happen. And if it doesn't happen, ultimately, then you're upset and sad. And so all the other people are coming along just to be able to help you, remind you, and hold space for you to, hey, you said you were going to do that. And there is something to be said when you tell someone out loud, this is what I'm going to do. There is something about that. That word has power. Yeah. And so it really does and when you're going to be getting together with people, to be able to say, freaking did this.
Absolutely.
It's visceral. It's a good feel. Yeah. Yeah, I think that authenticity, genuine personality and vulnerability, it's good foundation. It's safe space. And in that place, man, the seeds that are planted, they end up growing then, right? And
yeah, because the biggest thing with anything you set out to do is consistency. And so we've been doing it for 30 weeks. It feels like we just started it, but it's like so many things have come up in our lives since we started, but if we didn't have it going on, we could have easily used those things to just slow down, sleep, be depressed, anything like that. Yeah. But even when you're feeling those emotions, it's like, I have this list, I have this thing I'm held accountable for. So it's consistency. It's a very effective method for really generating that consistency and grit. So
grit, integrity. Yeah, well, you're speaking my husband's language. He definitely is all about accountability. He's like, I'm telling you, it's where it's at, on a weekly basis. You get together with a group of people and you just be honest and then encourage others, because there's a real blessing in being able to encourage others or holding others accountable.
Absolutely.
There's such a maturation that happens in that. Oh, wow, that really speaks to me.
Your husband's in an accountability group?
He doesn't have one now, since the pandemic. Things have, changed a little bit for us, but he definitely, we keep each other accountable.
Beautiful.
But he definitely thinks that it's a great idea. So let me ask you another question. All these questions that I have.
Question master.
What has been your biggest victory so far? And it doesn't have to be the biggest, but what's been a really big victory?
I feel like most of my accomplishments, like I have select specific accomplishments, like, certain film projects I've created that I was really happy with, or, just things I've done that I was happy with. But I feel like my most, proud accomplishments are more incremental. It's not just like one day, like, oh, I did this, and, now I'm really proud I did that. I've definitely done things that I'm very proud of. I've definitely done things that take a lot of courage, but I feel like my biggest victories lie within really kind of just that consistent building of stepping into my power, and really, I think respecting myself is probably the biggest thing. I remember being at a point where I guess that's all I really wanted. I wanted to be respected by others, but really I just wanted to be respected by myself, and I didn't. But now, after working on making my time, something to honor, making my time, valuable to me, and spending my time doing things that I genuinely want to do, creating the things that I genuinely want to build. Now, it's become very clear to me that I do respect myself. And that shows up in healthy boundaries and confidence and, holding discipline towards myself, and all these productive, amazing things that kind of stem from that.
What would you say to someone who is so excited to hear you say that you came from a place of not respecting yourself and really struggling in that space of not having boundaries or honoring the time or the gifts that you've been given, and they're saying, yeah, I want to get to the place where you are? What would be something that you would recommend to them?
Find an accountability partner. Definitely helps. That's huge. Your time will definitely come. Not respecting yourself is part of the journey to respecting yourself.
Gosh, that's so good.
That
is so good.
There's this beautiful quote that I wrote down in my little quote book, that strength is not born from strength. Strength is born from weakness. So be grateful for your weaknesses, because they will one day become your strengths. And that rings true for everything. Most things that I've dealt with, anything that it doesn't ring true for, just hasn't ring true yet. But yeah, you have to go through almost, disrespecting yourself to really see what you don't want. Identifying your nightmare, so you can better run towards your dream. And, things are, if you don't respect yourself, the way that I understand law of attraction and the universe is that people are not going to respect you. And that can be people that you just see randomly in some kind of situation, or it can be people that you're very close to. And that will degrade you, and that will bring you down to a point where it's, if you don't respect yourself, there's nowhere else to go but building some kind of respect for yourself. So for me, at the point when I didn't know how to do it or really what I wanted, like I said, I was definitely looking for it in others.
From others, do you mean?
Yeah, I was looking for other people to give me respect rather than understanding that it was me not respecting myself.
Oh,
so
that's so good.
if you can make that one mental change, which I'm not saying is easy, you can't just like flick a switch and then all of a sudden you think about it differently, but if you can start, questioning why you want other people's respect and questioning, maybe the roots of why you feel disrespected, and definitely go to the gym. The gym is fantastic for building up that like starting with the physical and kind of letting that seep into the mental and the spiritual. The gym, like working on your physique, and even if it's like one day a week, it's just showing up for yourself and building something. You're gonna start respecting yourself more, and that's not easy for everybody. But it's usually not easy because they don't really start. They don't give it a real attempt. So if you want that respect from other people, and you've got to get that respect for yourself. The gym is a great place to start.
Yeah, I love that, Luke. Yeah, because there's certainly an integration of body, soul, spirit. The things that you're thinking, the things that you're feeling, the memories that you hold, and your physical form, they're all mishmashed. When once something happens to one, it's happening to all of it. So to start with, if you can get to the gym, if you can go for a walk, if you can even, get yourself out under a tree intentionally saying, I am here to be on my journey, to focus on the breath that's coming in my nostrils and back out my mouth or something. Just in that, even that small intentional movement, I think will definitely be honored by the universe.
Yeah, I think showing up for yourself in any way, really. If there are things that are best for you, but you put other people first, or even if you're not somebody like that, I know a lot of people like that'll put other people before themselves. But regardless of exactly where you put your energy, if you're not putting it into yourself, that's the first place to look, is like, what can I do that will really honor myself? To build respect for yourself, it really comes down to taking the time to do what you need to do for yourself. And that might mean saying no to hanging out with friends, or saying no to watching a Netflix show, and instead going for a walk, going to sit under a tree, going to the gym, cooking yourself something healthy. Small starts lead to large trees.
Right, exactly. And, you don't have to necessarily say, well, I'm saying no to that. Well, but on the other hand, you're saying yes to this.
Beautiful. Yeah.
So I'm choosing to say yes to this. And in the beginning, I think when we think that it's hard, it's just that we're not used to it. It's not a habit yet. It's not, how muscle has memory. It's not something that we're used to. I remember when I first started running, oh my gosh, I just wanted to run to the end of the driveway. And then from the end of the driveway, I was going to run to the neighbor's mailbox. And that's the way it started. I did not start off running marathons. It was challenging, but any little time I went out, and I love what you're saying, I showed up for myself. That's even just saying I showed up for myself today. I'm getting emotional because I love this phrase. I know I'm going to be using it a lot now. How did I show up for myself today?
Yeah.
I always get down on my knees ever since, even when my husband and I were dating, and he'd be like, what are you doing down there? At the end of the day, I get down on my knees and I just, get down and just say, okay, how's it gone today? I just want to honor the universe, and I want to just kind of take just an accountability of how it went today, and thank the universe for a few things, say I'm kind of still working on this, and I'm clueless as to how to get over here, and I'm just going to send up some intentions for these people or whatever. And so I've always done that, but I definitely can see myself saying, how did I show up for myself today? What a self-loving thing to do.
Yeah, and so self-honoring, and I think that's a more clear answer to your more previous question. What would you say to someone that doesn't respect themselves right now and wants to? Is because when I didn't respect myself like I do now, I was still going to the gym, but I was doing it for the respect of other people. I wasn't doing it to show up for myself. One day it got to a point where I was like, why am I here? I asked myself that at the gym, and I'm here because I deserve it, and I owe it to myself to show up for myself. And that's when
that
things
was the
started changing.
turning point.
Yeah.
Well, folks, we're done for today. Oh my gosh. This is such a big fat nugget of truth and healing. Oh my goodness. So let me ask you another question. How did you discover your passion? And is that the same thing as knowing what your purpose is?
That's a great question that I've almost been dealing with, not in such clarity, but dealing with on a recent basis. How do you discover your passion? How did I discover my passion? I don't know. I kind of always, when I was younger, I used to make, when I was real young, my mom would film like home videos, and I would always want to either be in front of the camera or take the camera and like film. And there's a few clips of me doing that when we would watch home videos, and I was like, oh, I always wanted to film. As I grew up, I played with Legos, and I always wanted to make like stop motion films. I would move the Lego a little bit, take a picture, move the Lego.
Oh gosh.
Make them dance or something. So I don't know. I guess that kind of always flew through me.
Okay.
I acted in high school, and then I once got a job in a commercial for a technology company because one of the actors in one of the plays I did couldn't make it. So he gave it to the chat. He said, send your headshots in. I got it. The guy filming it was awesome. He was a really cool guy, JP. And he showed me everything that was going on behind the camera, and I was like, this is way more my style. So that kind of transitioned me into that. I started taking film classes in high school, and I was really good, and I loved it, and I was like, all right, this seems right. And then ever since then, I've always like, I'm gonna do film. And I'm blessed and lucky enough to know that. A lot of people, especially. I knew it as early as like early high school. A lot of people go like 4 years into college and still don't know what they want to do, and there are people that never find out what they want to do. So I don't know. I wouldn't say there's a real technical way of how I found my passion. To those people that are looking for theirs, I would say the biggest thing from stopping you from finding it is like fear of committing to something or fear of failure, which sometimes are the same thing. And just do something, and don't be afraid to waste your time, because time is subjective in a lot of ways. So do something and commit to it, and don't quit when it's not working out. Like really figure out something that you might like and just try it. And if it doesn't work out, that's okay. That'll lead you closer to knowing what does work out. It's like a multiple choice test. If you cross out one answer, now there's only 3 left.
Right.
So do something would be the biggest thing for that. But purpose, I don't know. I guess always know my purpose, or my soul's purpose in this incarnation, was to spread light. It's even in my name, Luke. In the Bible, it's called Luke refers to light bringer. So I remember hearing that when I was younger, and I always kind of connected that to like me, and I always kind of saw that in how I talk to other people. I love helping people. I love helping them shine their light, kind of like a candle to another wick. And then when I was at a monastery recently, one of my friends, Nate, mentioned something, because we were looking at the stars at night, and I was like, close your eyes for 5 seconds and reopen them, and you'll be able to see way more stars because your eyes dilate. And he was like, wow, you really play with light. And I was like, what do you mean by that? And he was like, you really play with light. Like, I would have never thought of that. And I was like, that's interesting. It's more so than just like, it's interesting that I do film, which is all about lighting and how the light is being received into the lens and bouncing off of things. It's like very much my purpose is light revolving.
That's cool.
It's really cool how it kind of like
It
weaves into
does.
each other. So I think that's awesome. And then just recently finding exactly how I'm going to achieve that purpose through the medium of film, which I have so much clarity on now. I was only able to achieve that clarity because I took a break, because I started doing YouTube rather than I've had my production company for a while, and I've been doing things that don't exactly reflect me, and I want my work to reflect me. So then when I did YouTube, because I wanted full creative freedom rather than client work, which is like it's still creative freedom because it's mine, but it's for someone else. YouTube just gave me that outlet to just see like what I would do if I wasn't being told what to do, and then I was like, it just gave me the space to really find out what the production company can be, and now I've gotten a lot of clarity. So I guess taking a step away from needing to figure it out can definitely help you figure it out.
We could just sit on some of your sentences. Taking a break from needing can sometimes help you hear the answer, figure things out.
Yeah. Yeah. And
that's so good.
That shines truth to me in more areas than just finding your purpose.
Gosh, yeah.
Every struggle.
So in other words, it's almost like not rejecting the fact that you don't know. It's not a good thing, it's not a bad thing, it's just where you're at right now. And so you almost allow it to be. It's not a bad thing. I should have it figured out by now. It's like, well, I'll have it figured out when I'm supposed to have it figured out. In the meantime, I'll continue to show up for myself and not reject that part of me, or reject the whole idea, I don't know quite yet. But I'll know when I'm supposed to know, because that's my heart's intent to know. Such a compassionate space.
Well, it's interesting. I almost feel that not knowing actually is a good thing. I feel that if we knew, it would almost be boring. The unknown, as scary as it can be, it's like, I think Alan Watts talked about this one time. It was like, if you were playing a card game, and when you get to the point in the card game where you know who's going to win, like it's clear, like there's 2 cards left and she has the 2 cards, everybody knows. Do you keep playing the game? Usually end the game. Usually done.
You don't continue going on.
Right.
That's how it is. Like if I'm playing solitaire and I can just tell all the cards are flipped and and I'm going to win, I don't keep playing until all the 4 piles are made. I'm like, well, I won. So I just...
Right. So I don't want to know.
So a lot of this life, isn't I need to find out my purpose so I can do my purpose. A lot of this life is allowing yourself to experience the not knowing, the journey on the way to knowing. It isn't just about, I've got to, it is the race itself. It's not, okay, I did this, so now I'm at the starting line. Well, just to another experience, but enjoy and embrace the experience you have while you're figuring it out.
Right. Yeah, I saw something recently that said, the only thing in the way is the way.
That would be me. I wrote that blog.
Was it you?
Yes!
It was you. Well, that struck a chord in me. I love it. That was you.
Well, thank you for reading my blog.
Well, yeah.
Because I said it that way. I said the only thing in the way, it is the way.
Right, yeah.
The thing that's in the way is the way.
I went on the blog you sent me.
Yeah.
So definitely
that's awesome.
Check out Lisa's blogs. She's dropping
links below.
Some gold.
Oh my goodness. Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah. Oh. All right, we should probably finish this up, though we could talk forever and ever and ever. If there was one thing that you were, I'm going to say 2 things. What is one thing in your life that you want to make sure that you experience in this life? Is there anything that you're like, oh my God, on my list, on my bucket list, I'd love to experience?
True love. Not to say I haven't already, but wherever that might lead. True love is definitely, I feel like, the most beautiful thing in the human experience.
I was talking with someone the other day, and I keep mulling it over like it's a beautiful cinnamon disc in my mouth. It's so flavorful, and I just keep sucking on it and sucking on it. We were talking about the idea of true love and meeting our true love. And she felt that she had met her true love, and they dated for maybe 6 months, and then they parted ways. And it was a difficult breakup for both of them, more for her because he had initiated the breakup. But she said, I have experienced true love. And now what I would like to do is I'd like to experience true love again. But one thing I want to be careful of doing is not comparing it to the true love I already had. Because each true love, I think, is going to be a little bit different. And I want to come in open to whatever this next aspect or beautiful, I don't want to say version, because it would be like upgraded version of, no, not that at all. It's almost like a diamond, and then you turn it this way and you see another little beautiful part of it. And then you turn it that way and there's another beautiful part. She said, I feel like I've experienced a beautiful true love, and I'm excited about experiencing a different beautiful kind of true love again. Does that speak to you at all? Or
Well, yeah, I mean, I've only been in one relationship that I could say I felt some form of true love, and I don't know, I haven't really thought about anything other than that, but I also haven't thought that true love has to be that.
You mean it has to be a certain way?
Right, it doesn't have to be a certain way. I think that love is, I mean, true love I feel like is also subjective in a way, because I feel like love itself is an infinite thing. I don't think that one day is like, okay, I like this person, and then one day, okay, this is love, this is in love. I think it's more so like you fall deeper and deeper in love with someone, and I don't ever think there's a limit to true love, but I do think that maybe true love is just something that is almost unwavering, that no matter what happens, it's damageable, but it's not breakable. I think that's what I really want to experience.
True love is not damageable. It is damageable, but it's not breakable. Well, I've been married to the same dude for 35 years. We've known each other 37 now. And I'd have to say that I would concur with that. Damageable? Sure. We've had times when we've hurt each other, or circumstances have caused us to be in a place where, but at the end of the day, unbreakable. I just can't imagine, nor can he. I remember going through some difficult times, and I think we were married about 5 or 6 or 7 years by then, and one of us had said something like, is this going to take us to a place of divorce? Because we were really struggling. Of course, we had 3 kids by then, my goodness sakes. We had, for being married so short a time, we had a lot on our plate. And I think that we decided that we would just take divorce off the, maybe not off the table, because neither of us wanted it to end that way. We were just like, no, just because we're going through a tough time doesn't mean that that's the direction we're going to take. Not today. And we just played it day at a time, you know. And I think we've gotten to the point now, and again, this is only my experience. I'm no guru with this, but when we go through times when maybe we kind of get on each other's nerves, or we just think, oh my gosh, we recall that that's happened in the past, and we made it. You know, a couple days later, you're like, oh my God, he's awesome. What was I thinking? I hope you experience it as well. I can't imagine you won't, because you ooze such light and love and great consideration and hold space beautifully and listen well and are eager to keep on the journey. We've recently been going through an interesting experience with each of our children. They're 24 to 34 now, 5 children. And in this past year or two, each of our children has come to us separately. And then I'll say to Stephen, hey, did one of the kids come? And he's like, yeah. And said, Mom and Dad, now that we're getting into relationships, we want to thank you. And at the same time be like, well, thanks a whole lot. And I said, well, what do you mean? And they said, we want to thank you because you gave us such an example. The problem is you gave us such a damn good example. Freaking high bar. And I was like, here's the deal. Neither of us is perfect. We just, a lot of humor, and a lot of willingness to talk things through. And you say compromise, but it's never been him versus me. It's always been together, the both of us trying to work through this misunderstanding that we're having. When you see the two of us, it's never this on this side, this on this side. We're sitting here together, moving forward in that. Mm-hmm. So, anyway,
it's not you versus him. It's you and him versus the problem.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's important. Yeah.
So, like I said, don't look to me for the perfection of it, but still on my journey with it. And then I want to end with, and I've got all sorts of questions, so I have to have you on again because I love talking with you. I learn more just by being in your space about stuff. It's just like showing, how did I show up for myself? Anyway, I digress.
I mean, you're a mirror of me.
Oh,
right? I'm
yeah.
that part of you that you like in me is a mirror of you.
Bet. If there was one thing that you wanted to leave our listeners, our community with, what would you say? What would you offer? It doesn't have to be the last thing because you're coming back on again, but what would be something that you think might be timely for this season? Or just what feels right in your heart to share?
Well, you sent me the list of questions yesterday for me to do a quick go-over. Or you sent them to me, and I did a quick go-over. I didn't want to get too into them because I kind of wanted to answer spontaneously, I feel like, rather than rehearsing what I wanted to say. But one of the questions I did see was, if you could go back and tell your younger self something, what would you say?
That's good.
And it would be the same thing I would say to whoever's watching, and that's just that I love you. Just that I love you. If I saw my younger self, if I was able to go back and tell him that no matter what, I love you, I think that would have healed so much.
Oh, that's really good. I just recently wrote a blog on what I would say to my younger self, and it was basically, you're going to go through this, you're going to go through that, you're going to F up big time, but you're also going to create masterpieces. You're going to go through this and you're going to go through that, and I just want to tell you, stay and enjoy every single moment of it, But I love you better. Wow.
So, whoever is out there, you are loved.
You are loved. You are loved. Oh, that's so good. Well, Luke, if someone would be interested in knowing your YouTube, I want to make sure that we put that link below.
Awesome.
Well, I had this profound vision one time that I've shared with you, and that's why I think it's all the more that I'm passionate now and ready to go forward with creating communities, is this understanding from my point of view that we are all God. And we have forgotten our God part purposely so that we could wake up to it. Mm-hmm. And the way that we wake up to experiencing our godness, ourselves, is in relationship with each other. Mm-hmm. It's like we purposely split apart and became all 8 billion different ones, even just now, and more, so that we could meet each other in that way, meeting ourselves, as if for the first time, and be like, oh my And one thing that helped me with is feeling like somebody else was doing better than me. And me being like, oh, I'm not doing as well. When I realized they're me doing well, I was like, well, look at me over there. Damn, I'm good.
Yeah, it's good to be reminded of that sometimes, because it's like recently I've been formulating this kind of like in-game and out-of-game thinking. So if life is a game, right? Because if God, universe, it was all one, and then one day, it put something between the one, and it became the two, and now there's the 8 billion, and so on, to rediscover itself. It's kind of playing a game with itself.
Yeah.
And what happens when the game is won? You just, now it's just you're the one again, and you'll probably start all over. So that there's the out of game thinking where it's like, okay, yes, we're all the one, and then the in game thinking is, okay, well, if this is a game, there's people that play the game to have fun, and there are people that play the game to get better. I personally find that playing the game to get better, or when I get better at a game, I have more fun.
Oh.
So recently,
oh my gosh,
I've been super into playing in-game and being of in-game thinking, while also having that foundation of that we are all one. But sometimes I can get too caught up in it, and that is an instance where that is the case, in which, hey, Steven.
Hey, Steven. We're just finishing up our podcast.
Celebrity appearance.
Right? I like that.
Yeah.
And that's another little tidbit I want to hold on to.
Okay.
That fun and like playing to improve. But when you improve, you have more fun.
In my case, I don't know if that's the case for everybody. I know there's some people that can just be totally content, that I just want to play, and that's beautiful. No matter what the experience you have, it doesn't really matter. Not one's better than the other.
Mm-hmm.
But in a worldly sense, there are certain things that are considered better, like financial success, or certain physical stature. So that's kind of, it's kind of just what do you want to do with your life? And I want to evolve, because I think that definitely puts me in a better headspace to enjoy the game. So when it comes to other people doing better than me in certain areas, I definitely recently have been like, that should have been me. But here I am now realizing that was me.
Yes. It was very healing for me to get to that space, and it really certainly took all judgment, because if I saw somebody doing something, it was like, that's also me doing that,
Yeah.
And really holding a space of compassion, for them. So
Beautiful.
Yeah. Thank you, Luke.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me on here.
Oh.
I didn't think this would be so amazing. I mean, I knew it would be amazing, but this is awesome. You're gonna
promise you'll come back. Promise me, please.
I promise.
It's been wonderful. Cool. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for hanging out with us, guys. We really appreciate you. And as Luke said, we want to let you know that you are loved. Bye.
Absolutely. Bye.
Yeah.